everybody, and welcome back to the show. My name's Brandon, and I'm your host of the It Ain't Right podcast, where we choose an event or topic of the day and put it on a scale from right to it ain't right. And today, it's going to be a little bit of a tough one. We're going to talk about the sinking of the IRIS Dena. This occurred in March 2026 when the Iranian Navy frigate, the IRIS Dena, was sunk in the Indian Ocean near Sri Lanka after being struck by a torpedo fired from a United States Navy attack submarine. The incident occurred during the escalating conflict between Iran, United States, and Israel. The sinking of the IRIS Dena drew international attention because it occurred during an international naval fleet review and exercises in India before it was returning towards Iran. Analysts have highlighted that the strike is the first known U.S. submarine torpedo sinking of a warship since World War II, making it a significant modern naval combat event. The sinking of the ship sparked debate among legal scholars and policymakers about whether the striking of the ship could constitute a violation of international law or a lawful act of war. A couple of details about the IRIS Dena. It was a Moj-class frigate commissioned in 2021 by the Iranian Navy. It's 1,500 tons of displacement, with anti-ship missiles, naval guns, torpedoes, a helicopter deck capable of operating a B-212 helicopter, and it was designed for patrol, escort, and anti-ship combat missions. Before the attack, the ship had taken part in a multinational naval fleet review and exercises hosted by India. The fleet reviews are ceremonial and diplomatic gatherings where multiple navies participate in exercises and naval diplomacy. After the event had concluded, the ship departed the region and began returning westward towards Iranian waters. This is when the U.S. Navy attack submarine detected the Iranian vessel. The submarine subsequently launched a heavyweight torpedo targeting the frigate. The torpedo struck the hull of the IRIS Dena, causing catastrophic flooding and internal damage, forcing the ship to issue distress calls while it began to sink. The vessel sank approximately 19 nautical miles off of Sri Lanka's coastline, reporting dozens of sailors were killed and others were rescued by nearby vessels and the Sri Lankan authorities. The Sri Lankan Navy conducted search and rescue operations and recovered survivors from the sea. Iranian officials condemned the attacks and argued the ship was non-hostile, returning from an international naval event. Iranian authorities described the strike as an unjustified attack and accused the United States of escalating the conflict. U.S. officials confirmed the attack and described it as a legitimate wartime strike against an enemy warship. Defense officials emphasized that warships are considered military targets under international law. The incident alarmed governments and maritime security experts because it showed a conflict expanding into the Indian Ocean shipping region. Analysts warned that the attacks on naval vessels far from the Middle East could also threaten global maritime routes. Now, regarding whether it was a war crime or a lawful naval warfare event, the laws governing naval combat, the San Remo Manual on International Law applicable to armed conflicts at sea, and the Second Geneva Convention provide guidelines for naval warfare. Legality of targeting warships. Under these rules, enemy warships are automatically considered military objectives. They can be targeted even if they are not actively attacking. Their mere capability to conduct military operations makes them lawful targets. International law prohibits attacks inside a neutral state's territorial waters. Territorial waters extend 12 nautical miles from a country's coast. Reports indicated that the ship was outside Sri Lanka's territorial waters, meaning that the strike likely occurred in international waters where naval combat is permitted. Iran argued for the frigate's non-hostile status, saying that it had just attended the fleet review and was not actively armed or engaged in combat. Legal experts note that under the law of armed conflict, a warship's capability, not its current activity, determines whether it is a valid target. According to the rescue obligations under the Second Geneva Convention, attacking forces must assist shipwrecked survivors when possible. Questions have been raised about whether the attacking submarine fulfilled these obligations or relied on nearby vessels and Sri Lankan Navy to conduct these rescues. Some international law scholars argue that even if the strike itself followed naval warfare rules, the broader military campaign against Iran could violate the United Nations Charter if it was not justified by self-defense or UN authorization. This attack demonstrates how modern naval conflicts can occur far from traditional battle zones across global maritime routes. It also brings up legal and ethical debates regarding the rules of naval warfare, neutral waters and sovereignty, how modern conflicts expand geographically. After covering a few of the details, this is the part of the show where we're going to go ahead and put this event on our scale from right to it ain't right. And we definitely feel this is all the way, it ain't right. Now, understanding that we're not privy to all the information going on and that there's things going on behind the scenes that I'm obviously out of the circle. I have no sources or anything like that. But I would say, as it appears, over 70 nations were invited to these multinational naval fleet review and exercises hosted by India, including the United States. And if the Iranian IRIS Dena was sank after the games had concluded 19 miles into international waters, it from an optics standpoint does not look good and does not sound good on the United States at all, in my personal opinion. Also, if there happened to be no reports indicating that the submarine attempted to help the survivors of the shipwrecked IRIS Dena, that is also not good as well. Those are my thoughts regarding this matter, but as I said earlier, I do not have all the information and I'm not privy to everything going on behind the scenes. We're just reporting on what we can find, and everything's allegedly, hypothetically, and supposedly true. Or not on the internet. Well, that's a wrap on this one. I'd like to take a second to say thank you for stopping by the channel and checking out our content. If you enjoyed today's video or learned anything, feel free to drop a like or a comment down below of what you would like to see us cover in the future. And feel free to share this with someone who needs to hear it. Until next time, God bless, stay free.